My name is Kasia Staniszewska, and I'm a doctoral student at the University of Alberta's Department of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences. I am immensely passionate about river water chemistry in the north of Canada and Arctic and subarctic regions. And for this project that is being supported by National Geographic and the Royal Canadian Geographical Society's Trebek Initiative, I'm going to be looking at some of the sources and the transport of mercury through the Yukon River. The Yukon River is one of the largest watersheds in North America, draining regions that have glaciers, permafrost, mining, a history of mining, and is also home to thousands of people. And scientists over the past few decades have noticed that mercury concentrations are higher in the Yukon River than they are in other rivers in Arctic and subarctic Canada and Eurasia. And mercury in river water, if the right chemical and biological conditions are present, can transform into a really potent neurotoxin called methylmercury, which can accumulate in aquatic organisms, so in bottom feeders and in fish, and then it can biomagnify through food webs. So that means as small organisms feed on microbes, and then as bigger organisms feed on smaller organisms, the concentrations of mercury can increase in things like large fish. And a lot of people in the Yukon and Alaska who live along the Yukon River use fishing for sustenance, for culture, as practice and habit. And so protecting this water and knowing whether or not mercury concentrations will increase going into the future as our glaciers in the Yukon River headwaters melt and as permafrost changes and thaws in northern parts of the watershed, or even just knowing how modern day mining activities might be disturbing sediment or impacting potentially this watercourse, that'll help us predict how mercury concentrations might change into the future, whether they're going to increase and then decrease, whether they're going to completely increase over time, etc. So there's a bit of concern about whether or not mercury concentrations in the Yukon River might rise in the future due to changing climate and landscape change, melting glaciers, thawing permafrost, maybe even mining activities, or whether mercury concentrations will reduce in the Yukon River or stay steady in the coming years. But naturally, being such a large and complex watershed, there's a lot of different factors to untangle to figuring out what is the cause of these higher mercury concentrations in the Yukon River. So what I'm going to be doing during this project is looking at how mercury concentrations vary across the Yukon territory in tributaries to the Yukon River that are fed by glaciers, by regions with permafrost, and even regions that had a legacy of mining during the gold rush, and some regions that have mining today. The support from National Geographic and the Royal Canadian Geographical Society's Trebek Initiative is going to help me hire a field assistant from Whitehorse. It's going to help me do a float down the Yukon River from its headwaters that are glaciated down to Dawson City. And I'm going to also use the support to increase the outreach of this project, to increase the sampling frequency and the sampling density, which will help me construct a better, kind of more solid idea of where the high concentrations of mercury are coming from, how they're transforming as the water flows downstream, as it goes through all these different landscapes.